If you're proud of working hard, this might be why your business is stuck. In this video, I'm going to show you why more effort is keeping you from growing and the shift I'm making right now to grow from 6 to 7 figures without working harder. Because effort is a great way to start a business, but I've learned it's a terrible way to scale one. Let me show you what I mean. So at first, effort solves a very real problem because the more effort you put in, the more you see results like this. Because when you're starting out, you don't know what works yet. So you try lots of new things. You say yes a lot and you kind of figure it out as you go along. So maybe it actually looks a bit more like this. Something like that. Effort's kind of like putting fuel in your car. You need fuel to make the car go, and the more fuel you have, the farther the car can go. But there's a few problems with this picture. First of all, there's only so many hours in a day. And so eventually you hit a hard ceiling here. Once the tank is full, it's full. Adding more fuel can't make the car go any faster. And I don't know about you, but the other problem is I tend to run out of energy before I run out of hours in the day. So maybe you can work 18 hours a day, but I can't. Certainly not as I get older. And honestly, I don't really want to, even if I could. So in reality, we all hit a point of diminishing returns, which looks a bit more like this. So if the value you create is tied to how much you work, then at a certain point, effort stops being the thing that grows your business. And I ran into this myself when I launched my first pilot program. I had just left a startup where I was the COO and my income was about to drop to zero. So I had to figure something out pretty quickly. So I filled up my effort tank. I opened 12 seats. I worked really hard and I filled all 12 seats, which I felt great about. Like, it was awesome. The problem was I wanted feedback more than I wanted profit. So I learned a lot, but I didn't necessarily earn a lot. Because my original plan was to just do it again, another cohort, slight improvements, and then life would be great. But I could already see the next problem. It was going to take just as much effort, if not more, for maybe a slightly better result. So instead of doing the same thing again, I invested 5 figures into my own growth, improved the offer, the positioning. I learned a lot more about sales. And then when I relaunched, I tripled my income with less clients and I hit my first 5-figure month. And that doesn't mean it was easy. Like, it was still a lot of hard work, but now my car could go faster. Same amount of fuel, but a better engine. And at first, I felt great, if I'm honest with you. I thought I cracked the code. I had happy clients and my offer was working and it felt amazing. But then my growth stalled for the next 2 years because I didn't actually solve the real problem. What I learned since then was coaches who stay stuck aren't afraid of hard work. They're just using hard work to decide what's worth doing. Let me paint you a picture. A couple times a year, my co-founder Ped flies from London to California to visit his wife's family. They basically fly over the Arctic Circle. Don't make fun of my airplane here. Now imagine if the pilot only used a compass to guide the flight. For the first half of the journey, over here, the compass points north and it works great. But once you pass halfway, if you keep following the compass north, it starts pointing you in the wrong direction. And what's worse than running out of fuel? How about wasting it going the wrong way while you're mid-flight? That sounds terrifying to me, but it's honestly where a lot of coaches are in their business. So the real problem isn't how hard you work, it's the compass you use to make decisions. And my compass was broken. I was using effort to decide what's worth doing because I valued hard work. I let it become part of my identity and I wasn't seeing things clearly. So if something felt hard, I assumed it must be valuable. If I could do it, then I would do it. Effort had become my compass, and that's why working harder can actually make things worse. But the opposite's also bad. If you avoid things that feel hard, that's obviously not helpful either, because effort only tells you what's difficult, not what's effective. You can be the hardest worker in the world, but if your decision-making process is broken, then you're going to waste a ton of time and energy. So what does that actually look like? If you're anything like me, you probably like trying new ideas, different strategies, more tactics. And at first, that can feel really productive. Then it starts to feel overwhelming because you're constantly task switching and you get easily distracted or you start feeling exhausted from decision fatigue. as you just inch your way towards burnout. And if you stay there long enough, you start resenting your work, or even worse, your clients. The same thing happened with a coach I know. He was completely scattered. He couldn't focus on a niche or a channel or an offer long enough to build any real traction. It's kind of why we were talking in the first place. But then all of a sudden he got more referrals. So he got busy again. And at first it seems like a good thing, but it actually pulled him deeper into the same pattern that got him stuck in the first place, because he never solved the root issue. So when referrals dry up again, he's going to be back in the same place, still working hard, flying in the wrong direction. But honestly, I did the same thing. For years, I kept building by adding more ideas, more strategies, more experiments. I felt like I was constantly learning, but none of it actually grew my business. So what was I really learning? I couldn't tell what was actually working. Nothing really got me more clients, saved me more time, or materially changed my client's experience. And that's when I realized that the thing that helped me build my business had become the same thing that was keeping me stuck. So the real question is, how do you fix your decision-making process? The answer isn't just a better strategy, it's an identity shift. And the first identity, the one you need to get started, is called the builder. Builders are opportunistic, so they're always looking to add more opportunities. Oh, I wrote that too long. And they do that by saying yes to almost everything, and they try to maximize their working hours. So they focus on what we call first gear activities. When you're driving a car, first gear is how you get moving. It's the fastest way to accelerate from 0 to, let's say, your first 5-figure month. And when you're launching a new business or even a new offer, that's exactly what you need. And that's what I did. Started real conversations, used personalized outreach, got direct feedback from the market. That's how you learn and build momentum. But staying in first gear too long is also how you overheat the engines. So you don't go any faster, you just stay busy. But directors do things different. They subtract to create more space. And instead of saying yes to everything, they do this by saying no. And they do that so that they can focus on high leverage decisions and decide which fires are worth putting out and which ones to just let burn. So they prioritize. With a Z, because I'm American. So the builder asks, can I do this? But the directors ask, should I do this? Builders ask, how can I do more? Whereas directors say, what can I let go of? And by the way, this isn't about being right or wrong. It completely depends where you are on your journey, because you can't subtract from something that's brand new, just like you can't add more to something that's already full. It works both ways. If identity is the lens through which you make decisions, which identity are you operating from? It's like wearing a pair of glasses. They shape how you see the world, and if you wear them long enough, you can forget they're even there. That's why smart people can keep solving the wrong problems. It's not that their tactics are necessarily wrong and they're doing the wrong things. Their perspective is just outdated. So just like you need a new prescription to see things more clearly, you might need a new perspective to start making better decisions. That's why we started working with Leanne. She was already working hard. She'd been in business for years, actually had more marketing experience than anyone I'd ever met, but she was just too close to the problem, like to actually see it clearly. And she needed a new perspective. So the real shift for her was where her effort was going. So that meant, again, for her, a better offer. And we took her through our process and told her to resubmit her work literally 4 different times. Kudos to her for staying patient through the process. But I'm glad that she did, because once it clicked, she signed 4 consulting clients in the same afternoon. Same effort, new perspective, better decisions, right? So what does that actually look like for you? How can you start to make director level decisions? Well, first of all, making the shift does not mean that you stop working hard. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but after working with literally hundreds of coaches and consultants over the last 10 years, I have yet to see a business that truly generates passive income. Effort is still a key ingredient. It just doesn't need to be the limiting factor. And what matters more is where your effort is going. So when you're operating like a builder, you add more. But when you start acting like a director, you subtract, which means you stop reacting and start deciding based on logic and data. You stop filling your time and you start protecting it for higher leveraged work. And you start asking better questions like, does this actually create value? Is this repeatable? How can I best use my time and energy? What should be the top priority right now? Or maybe most importantly, what can I stop doing to create more time for what actually works? This is when you get to start systemizing your business so that you can buy back your time. And I won't pretend to put myself on a pedestal here and pretend that I've mastered all this, because I'm actually going through this right now myself. Like I said before, after I hit 6 figures, I hit another ceiling. And having gone through the builder phase, I can feel the same patterns trying to show up again. My default is to want to work harder, do more, figure it out on my own. But I'm forcing myself to adopt a new perspective because I know where that old road leads. I'm choosing to let go of an identity that no longer serves me or the people that I care about, and that includes my clients. But talk is cheap and actions speak louder than words. So I decided to invest into my own growth more than I ever have before. And yes, it is still scary, but the more I invest in myself, the more I learn to trust myself too. And that doesn't mean I can do it all on my own. It's actually the opposite. I'm less scared to ask for help today than I was when I first started, because I know that I'll do what it takes to get a return on that investment. That's why I'm willing to commit. I'm choosing to learn new skills and build new beliefs in order to operate at the level that I want to operate from. Essentially, I'm buying a new prescription so I can see from a new perspective. So I can't sit here and tell you that this shift has made me millions of dollars yet. It hasn't. But I can tell you the skills that got me here are not the skills that will get me to where I want to go. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a bigger business just for the sake of it. I value stability, and I value my time, and I value being present with my friends and my family. So I don't want to keep repeating the same patterns, hoping for a different result. So this new way of making decisions isn't just about blind growth. It's about building a business that supports how you want to live your life, because you can't grow your business with the same decision-making process you used to start it. At some point, working harder stops being the answer and starts holding you back. And hey, if you want to see the process we use to help coaches make this shift and grow their business, there's another video linked in the description for that. Otherwise, I hope you found this useful. Let me know if you did in the comments. Thanks for hanging out.